There are moves in basketball, and then there's the crossover. One lightning-fast shift of the ball that left legends frozen, defenders stumbling, and arenas gasping in disbelief. And no one embodied it like Allen Iverson. He wasn't just a player, he was a cultural earthquake. This is the story of how a so-called showboater crossed up the entire NBA before you even blinked. Allen Iverson was never meant to fit inside a neat little box. He grew up in Newport, Virginia, in a neighborhood where survival wasn't guaranteed and dreams felt like fragile illusions. For most kids, making it out was impossible, but Iverson had something rare: raw, unfiltered quickness. From the streets to high school gyms, his speed was legendary. At Bethel High School, he wasn't just a star point guard, he was the quarterback too. He led both the basketball and football teams to state championships in the same year. Imagine being a teenager dominating two sports at once. To scouts, he looked like the next great NFL star. But to Iverson, basketball had his soul. The first time you watched him dribble, you noticed something different. His handle wasn't just tight, it was hypnotic. He had a natural rhythm, part street ball, part artistry, and with his low center of gravity, defenders had no chance of keeping up. He could shift directions mid-stride, like a video game glitch. Coaches didn't always love the flash, some called it showboating, but to Iverson, it was survival. He wasn't trying to entertain, he was trying to dominate. His path wasn't easy. A highly controversial brawl at a bowling alley in 1993 landed him in jail and nearly destroyed his future. At just 17 years old, Iverson faced a sentence that could have erased everything. But after serving 4 months and receiving clemency from Virginia's governor, he got another chance. That second chance came in the form of John Thompson, the legendary Georgetown coach who saw more than a troubled team. He saw a generational talent. At Georgetown University, Iverson exploded onto the national scene. In his very first season, he averaged 20 points per game, breaking the school's freshman scoring record. He wasn't just fast, he was violent with his speed. His crossover wasn't a move, it was a weapon. College defenders looked helpless. One moment they were in front of him, next they were swiping at empty air. He'd hesitate, rock the ball from left to right, and then in a blink of an eye, he was gone. The crowd didn't just cheer, they gasped. Iverson's style clashed with the traditional Georgetown Hoya paranoia system built on defense and discipline. But Thompson let him cook, because he knew Iverson's fearless play was something the game had never seen before. In 2 seasons, Iverson averaged 23 points per game, won Big East Rookie of the Year, and took the Hoyas to the Elite 8. But more than the stats, Iverson carried swagger, baggy shorts, cornrows, tattoos, a style straight from the streets that the NCAA and soon the NBA wasn't ready for. He wasn't just a player, he was a walking rebellion. 1996, one of the great NBA draft classes in history. Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, Ray Allen, Stephon Marbury, and the number 1 overall pick, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Allen Iverson. At 6 feet tall, and really close to 5'11", Iverson became the shortest player ever drafted number 1. Analysts doubted him. Could a guy that size dominate in a league built on giants? Could a player that flashy survive in an era ruled by fundamentals and discipline? Iverson didn't care. He was ready to prove them wrong. And from his very first NBA game, the world saw it. Iverson dropped 30 points against the Milwaukee Bucks, but the real moment came in his rookie year when he faced Michael Jordan, the GOAT, his airness, the untouchable. What happened next became basketball folklore. March 12, 1997, Philadelphia 76ers versus Chicago Bulls, the defending champions, Michael Jordan in his prime. Iverson stood at the top of the key, dribbling casually. Jordan crouched in front of him, eyes locked in. The crowd sensed that something was coming. Iverson dribbled left, fake. Jordan bit. Iverson reset, then the move. A violent crossover to the right. Jordan staggered just half a step. That was all Iverson needed. He pulled up from the free throw line and drilled it. The arena erupted. It wasn't just a bucket, it was a statement. Iverson had just crossed up Michael Jordan, the symbol of basketball dominance, and announced to the world, "I belong here." From that moment on, Iverson wasn't just a rookie, he was a cultural icon. Kids copied his crossover on playgrounds across America. Highlight reels couldn't get enough, and defenders across the NBA learned a harsh truth. Guarding Allen Iverson was a nightmare. Iverson's crossover wasn't just quick, it was deceptive. He carried the ball low, rocking defenders back and forth, using his speed to create hesitation. By the time they guessed, it was too late. Some called it illegal. Refs debated whether it was a carry. Opponents begged the league to stop him, but the NBA couldn't ban it because it wasn't a trick, it was innovation. Iverson perfected variations: the hesitation crossover, the double crossover, the stop on a dime pull-up. Each one left defenders sliding helplessly, looking like they were on skates. And with his explosive first step, once he got by you weren't catching him. For years, Iverson's crossover was the most feared move in basketball. Bigger defenders couldn't react in time. Smaller guards couldn't stay in front. It was the great equalizer, the weapon that allowed a 6-foot guard to dominate a league of 7-foot titans. By 2001, Iverson wasn't just exciting, he was unstoppable. He won the NBA's Most Valuable Player award, averaging 31 points per game. He led the 76ers to a 56-win season and carried them all the way to the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers. No one gave Philadelphia a chance. The Lakers had Shaquille O'Neal at his peak and Kobe Bryant ascending to stardom, but Iverson didn't care. Game 1 in Los Angeles became one of the most iconic nights in NBA history. Iverson dropped 48 points. He hit shot after shot, driving fearlessly into Shaq's paint, twisting, spinning, and scoring over giants. And then came the moment burned into basketball history. Overtime. Iverson hit a jumper over Tyronn Lue, and as Lue fell to the floor, Iverson stepped over him with cold defiance. That step wasn't just a move, it was a cultural symbol, a declaration that Allen Iverson, the undersized rebel, had forced the world to respect him. Though the Sixers lost the series 4-1, Iverson's performance turned him into a legend. He wasn't just a great player, he was the show. Iverson didn't just change basketball, he changed culture. The cornrows, the tattoos, the jewelry, the hip-hop attitude, the baggy clothes. To the NBA establishment, it looked like defiance. To millions of fans, it looked like representation. Iverson brought the streets to the NBA. Unapologetically, he wasn't trying to fit into the clean corporate image the league wanted. He was being himself, and kids loved it. Rap stars, street ball legends, everyday fans, they all saw themselves in Iverson. This led to conflict. The NBA instituted a dress code in 2005, a move many saw as a direct response to Iverson's influence. But by then, it was too late. The culture shift was permanent. Players today, from LeBron James to Stephen Curry, grew up watching Iverson. His swagger, his authenticity, his refusal to change, it all left a permanent mark on the league. Iverson's style was beautiful, but brutal. At 6 feet tall, he drove to the rim relentlessly, throwing himself at 7-foot centers and absorbing punishment every night. He led the league in scoring 4 times, but he also led it in bruises. By the late 2000s, the toll caught up. His explosiveness dimmed. Teams questioned his fit. Controversies around practice. We talking about practice. Overshadowed his brilliance. He bounced between Denver, Detroit, Memphis, and eventually back to Philadelphia. Yet even as his career wound down, the respect never faded. Fans still packed arenas to see him, because Iverson wasn't just about his stats, he was about heart. Every night he played it like it was life or death, and that's why fans loved him. Allen Iverson retired officially in 2013, but his legacy never did. He was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2016, breaking down in tears during his speech, thanking the coaches, teammates, and even rappers who inspired him. But the real legacy? Look around the NBA today. Kyrie Irving's dribbling wizardry, Steph Curry's swagger, Ja Morant's fearlessness. Every guard who grew up dreaming of crossing up defenders owes something to Allen Iverson. He wasn't the tallest, he wasn't the strongest, but he showed the world that skill, speed, and heart could topple giants. Allen Iverson was called a showboater, too flashy, too small, too stubborn. But what they missed was the truth. He was a pioneer. He crossed up not just defenders, not just Michael Jordan. He crossed up the entire NBA. And he did it all before you even blinked.